with the great Jon Miller, who returns to Baltimore next week, Saturday, September 6th, for the celebration of Cal Ripken's incredible achievement, John, of playing in 2,131 consecutive games. Can you believe it's been 30 years?
It seems for me that it just happened. Everything is so fresh in my memory about it. And, I was really blessed. I came to Baltimore to do the Orioles games in 1983 and coming from Boston. And it was sort of the dream for a broadcaster because the Orioles won the World Series that year. So as the new broadcaster, I had a lot of good news and a lot of happy finales and whatnot, where I would get a lot of compliments on my broadcast, which you don't get so many of those when your team loses. So I was always grateful to that group of guys in the first place. But I never did an Orioles game in my first 5 years where Cal Ripken was not in the lineup and did not play every inning of every game. It was the fifth year, late in that fifth year, before he actually missed an inning because his dad was the manager and took him out. Ron Washington went in to play short in the bottom of the eighth on one of the worst games in Orioles history. The Toronto Blue Jays set an all-time record, it probably still exists, 10 home runs in the game they hit. And it was the perfect game for Cal to finally sit out. And Cal still argued with his dad about it. And Ron Washington argued with him too. He said, "Why me? Why do I have to be the guy to end this streak?" But that was such a rare streak that there was no record in the record book for it. The big statistical agency, Elias, went back all the way to 1901. They found one guy who played every inning of every game for a couple of years, and that was it. So Cal was the Iron Man, and at the same time, he showed up every day. And he always downplayed it because he said, well, it's 160 games at a time. Then I get several months off and then start the whole thing over again. So it's not like every day for all those years, but and yet you kind of noticed that nobody else was doing that.
No one else was doing it. What made those two nights in September of 1995 so special?
Well, I think the record was an interesting record because in big records, there's always that moment in the game. A guy hits a home run. There's the record. He beats Henry Aaron. Or there's the base hit. He's got more hits than anybody in history. Or there's the strikeout. That's 5,000. Or, whatever it is. This one was different. If Cal was healthy and he showed up, he was going to have the record. We already knew the date that it was going to happen. But Charles Steinberg was the genius who came up with the idea that, oh no, in the record book, nothing goes in the book officially until it's an official game. So you can start the game if you don't play 4.5 or 5 innings, depending on who's ahead, then all of those records in those days, they just never happened. The last home run that Yastrzemski ever hit was against Jim Palmer at Fenway Park. Pretty good story, except the game got washed out in the third or fourth inning, and it was as if it never happened. And he never hit another one. So I always thought, well, that was wrong. And I think they've sort of remedied that now with some different rules. But at that time, Charles set up the banners. We all remember those, the music, the stirring, and then we all got goosebumps. But when they started that, the previous homestand, Cal was a little irritated, like, what is this? This is so hokey. And I was irritated. Oh, come on. Then when it got to be the last two nights, then I saw the genius of it. No, he has created the moment. They put the rule up on the board, the music was playing, and then the banner unfurled and the big crescendo of emotional music. And that's when the fans had their celebration with Cal, because he was not going to allow any ceremonies during the game. He said, no, nothing, not even this is bigger than the game. And he felt like it would be disrespectful to the game. So the fans held their own impromptu tribute. And that's the most memorable part of the whole thing. And that went on, that roar, that ovation went on for, 20 minutes? Finally, Rafael Palmeiro and Bobby Bonilla pushed him out on his way. Nobody realized that Cal actually was running a fever. It was kind of the ultimate joke that, hey, if he's healthy, and he's always healthy, and he's able to play, then he'll have the record. Well, he wasn't that healthy those 2 days, and he hadn't had any sleep for maybe a week or whatever. So, and he was getting up with his kids and trying to make their lives as normal as possible, having breakfast with them, taking them to school, whatnot. So there's so many memorable things about that. But Cal also homered in each one of those games. Talk about rising to the occasion.
And one you called with the President of the United States.
President Clinton was in there, and the Cal went to 3-0, and the fans are booing. And I make my little weak joke to the president. Mr. President, they can't walk Cal tonight of all nights. Maybe you could send a presidential order down there and order them to throw him a strike here. And he said, well, I know that Cal would like to really hit one here, but if he throws him a ball, he'll take his walk for the good of the team because that's the kind of a player he is. I said, well, that's very true. On the other hand, if he grooves at one here, even on 3-0, then he just picked it up. He said, oh, then he'll hit it a long way. As soon as he said that, the pitch came in, boom, he hits it. And I get excited because I know it's going to be a home run. And when you're a broadcaster, as you well know, in a historic game, you want to have the big call and get it right and do it well. The president had his own microphone, though. So he started shouting, go! Go! Yes! And he's clapping his hands and whatnot. So when I hear the replay of it afterward, I'm just some crazed, disembodied voice in the background. And I'm thinking, man, that kind of stomped all over my call. And I used to say, I'm going to call the White House and tell them that's the most unprofessional broadcast moment I've ever seen. He's never working with me again. And that was my little joke. But
you didn't call the White House?
True, I didn't. I did not. But and when I heard it, I thought, that's the best possible thing. The President of the United States leading the cheering as a fan for this great home run on that night, that special night. And really, it's probably the best home run call I ever had.
And you've had a lot of big ones. It was a magical night, magical few nights, 30 years ago, John. I know everyone's going to cheer for number 8 next Saturday at Camden Yards. I think you'll get a lot of cheers, too, when you come back.
Well, I'm really looking forward to it, and it's great that Cal's, they didn't wait till the 50th anniversary, so we know Cal's going to be still around, and maybe Eddie Murray will be there. Who knows? The night that it happened, not only was the president there and the vice president, but Joe DiMaggio was there, Lou Gehrig's teammate, who came out as kind of a surprise to Cal. And he got a huge ovation at Camden Yards, and he kind of tied the whole thing together about Gehrig and who he was, and how Gehrig would have been really happy to see a guy like Cal be the one to break that record.
It was an amazing night. We'll celebrate on Saturday. Thanks, John.
I'm looking forward to it.